Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. It is time for Chris's big fish list.
Yes.
If any of these fish tickle your fancy, call in and let us know.
Yes. So the point of this list, before I get killed for it, I know all of these are like absolutely shooting for the stars. That's the point of the big fish list. But when we talk about how this team makes the leap and, as scary as it sounds, does the Phoenix thing, or maybe does their version of the Gobert trade to go all in for a true title contention, or at least being in that conversation, they've got to make a big swing. And the crazy thing is, and the thing that putting this list together definitely solidified for me, is something we've been talking about, and Allen has even put his money where his mouth is with his bet of taking on the, what is, Carolina Reaper?
Oh, the Carolina Reaper, that's right.
Like, this list is so big, and I swear there's enough names that legitimately make sense to where it makes me believe the Kings almost have to get one of these. I have 10 people listed on here.
I'm excited.
Where I swear there is actual reason to believe that these people will be moved. All of these people have at least some semblance of whispers or rumors of them possibly not being happy in their situation. So, and I even have it tiered as well, or not tiered, but just listed chronologically based off of my wants. Number one, should I start at 1 or 10? It's always a big sticking point.
Start at 10.
Let's start at 10 and work our way up. Number 10 on my big fish want list is one Zach LaVine. Now, you might be saying that seems a little bit low, but I just can't get over Zach LaVine's money. It's just too much for me. I think he would elevate the Kings the least of anybody on this list. I think he still does elevate the team, but it kind of becomes a bit of a Phoenix situation where now you're paying LaVine $50 million, you're paying Fox somewhere. I think Fox is making near 30, 35, maybe close to 40. Haven't looked at that number yet. I know Sabonis is making 35. So you're kind of pot committed to 3 guys there. And we really probably shouldn't go into specifics of, oh yeah, this would take moving HB and all that stuff. So you can fantasize about how the Kings get these deals done. But I think that they, with all of these guys, would have enough to get it done. They would just have to maybe sacrifice something that you might not be willing to get rid of. The pluses that I have for Zach LaVine are his age. Absolutely. He still fits in the Kings timeline 100%. He's a young guy. He is a guard, but he can slide over to forward. He's 29 years old. Makes sense. He's a scorer, which is, I think, is, especially if Malik Monk leaves, whether he stays or goes, I think this team needs another guy who can create his own shot. And the minus is obviously the contract. Zach LaVine is on probably the nastiest contract that anyone would ever want. He has, after this season, he gets paid $43 million next year, $45 the season after, and then has a player option for $48 million. I just don't think the Kings necessarily should lock that up again, especially considering I just don't know if there's another move after that they can make with that big of a contract. Number 9 on this list. A little bit of an interesting one. Bear with me here. I've got LeBron James. Woo! And, again, you might be saying too low. You might even be saying too high. But I just think, and this would definitely be the riskiest because this is probably a 1-2 year max LeBron would stay here. But, and there's really no way LeBron is going to pick to play in Sacramento. I don't think if he had his choice, Sacramento is probably bottom 15 on his selection. But if for whatever reason this were to happen, I think LeBron obviously needs to be mentioned, and definitely probably the least likely to happen, but his obvious experience and fit with this team is a huge need. Obviously his age and his contract would be the major minuses if they could somehow get it done. Number 8, yes, and he is the GOAT. That's right. And you probably get Bronny too, so it's a 2-for-1.
Yes.
At number 8, I have Karl Anthony Towns, who we'll see how available Cat is at the end of this year. Again, I think fit, I don't absolutely love. Cat's pretty much solely an offensive weapon. We've also seen a little bit of...
He beat up last night, though.
He did. He played really well last night. He stopped fouling. Shout out Anthony Edwards, who apparently told Cat to just stop fouling, right. And that's really all that it took. And Cat is, again, a person who's in the right time frame. He's a younger guy. He's a scorer. The minuses would definitely be, Cat is somebody who's gonna cost a pretty penny. He's definitely one of the best young players. He's on his I believe is this his rookie extension, or might even be the one after that where he gets paid more. So he's still on his, I Oh, no, this is actually a new deal that he's on here. He's getting 49 next year, 53 the year after, 57 after that, and then a $61 million player option. That's a little bit too much for Karl Anthony Towns for my taste. And also just a lot of attitude questions with Cat, just in terms of how seriously he wants to take basketball and how much he cares about being a winner. I don't necessarily think that's something you need to add. Now we're getting into the tier where I think this is serious. Kings could really get these guys and really could make a leap here. Donovan Mitchell is a name that has been on the trade block. A lot of people are assuming he's going to go to the Knicks. We don't know how that Cavs Magic series is ending. It's 2-2 right now. Cavs have looked great at home, have looked terrible on the road. I think if they lose in this first round, again, that he probably will ask to go out. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be somebody who picks and chooses where he wants to go. He's obviously going to cost a ton for his services. I think he might be on an expiring contract, so maybe that's something where you kind of have an advantage because he might not request as much, but he fits in the time range. He's 27 years old. He's a guard. You can play next to De'Aaron Fox. You don't have to worry about your backcourt for a long time. Definitely takes a lot of the scoring necessity away from De'Aaron, someone who's averaged 25 plus points a game for some time now. I don't personally love his style of play, but I do think the Kings could use just another dog, which undeniably Donovan Mitchell is an absolute dog.
Next season, he will have a play. After next season, he'll have a player option.
$35 million next year, and then a player option 37. He probably turns down that player option to get more money, but you at least have him for one more year to try and figure out, kind of like what they did with Sabonis. He can figure out if he likes the situation or not. And then before we get into the top five in our next segment, at number 6, I have Paul George, who is absolutely a scorer. He absolutely fits a need. He can play the 3 or the 4. The negatives for him are absolutely his age. He's gotten up there. He also has the injury history, which we've known of for a long time, but he's somebody who can create his own shot. 6'8", 6'9", definitely is still hungry for that ring. However, he does have a $48 million player option that he would have to opt into in order for him to be tradable. And then, you're still paying him $48 million. And then I don't know what he would want past that. But those are the number 10 through number 6 big fish list for myself for the Kings this offseason.
Great stuff so far. Let's get to the top 5 when we return. Your calls, 916-339-1140. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sactown Sports.
Lowe's knows pros need the right tools for every job. That's why we sell the largest in-store selection of Klein tools anywhere. Find new items launching exclusively at Lowe's, like the self-leveling laser level for just $159.98. Plus, shop the Connect socket set for just $49.98. Get Klein tools in-store and online today, because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows pros.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Chris's big fish list. Is it trout? Is it salmon? Or is it Paul George?
Big fish.
Big fish. And we have gone through 10 to 6, Zach LaVine, LeBron James, Karl Anthony Towns, Donovan Mitchell, and Paul George. My personal favorite so far, Chris. Yeah, I can see why those are 10 to 6 because nothing is really speaking to me.
Okay.
In that way. I mean, the problem with Paul George is sometimes he just looks disinterested.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. He's kind of fits into like if he's your 1, like definitely don't feel great about your ceiling. If he's your 2, that's a really good 2, but it kind of depends on how good your 1 is.
Exactly.
And if he's your 3, I mean, that's incredible. He would definitely be the Kings' number 2, at least for next year. But
let's just do this.
Yeah.
Paul George.
Okay.
De'Aaron Fox. Sure, why not? Malik Monk.
Okay.
Sabonis, Keegan. That's your 5.
Okay.
What does Vegas think their odds are to win the whole thing?
Probably not the best.
Yeah.
It's probably like, I would say they'd probably be projected top 5 in the West.
Mm-hmm.
I would say top 5 in the West, top 10 in the league, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you have a chance.
Yeah. It depends. The Eastern Conference teams are, Boston's going to be up there depending on what Philly looks like after this offseason, maybe Philly, Milwaukee, depending on who knows how that situation ends up unfolding. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, yeah, these are the moves that, you have to at least get in the conversation.
Right. And
first,
maybe there is
right?
no move that makes them a favorite. There probably isn't. So. It's a process.
Yeah, exactly. It's a process, and no one player can switch up everything either. You mentioned that lineup, the King of who knows if Keegan even can stay. Mm-hmm. So, or if it would just be straight up for a guy like Paul George, like maybe they get my guy Norm Powell in the deal as well. And it completely shifts up everything the Kings want to do. But definitely is a interesting thought process here for where the Kings could possibly go with their big fish hunting. Let's move into the top 5 now, where I have my personal favorite, but I had to be real about the situation and figure where he would actually be in the Kings' priorities, necessities list. At number 5, again, my personal favorite, Jimmy Butler. The experience, the dogness, and the defense for me are the absolute selling points. Maybe not so much a elevation in talent. I mean, absolutely, Jimmy is a huge influx of talent. But if we're talking about the conversation we were just having in terms of, is Jimmy Butler really going to bring the Kings to real title contention? I don't think so, especially not necessarily more than a guy like Paul George even, or maybe some of the guys I have lower than him. But I think the value in bringing Jimmy Butler in is the dog. It's you get the dog to sniff out the other dogs and to figure out who on your team is legitimately here to win and who's here to put up numbers. I feel like the Kings have a lot of people who would probably fit well with Jimmy and his attitude, but at the same time, Jimmy does have sometimes a bad way of testing these guys, and ultimately, I think that's what this team needs is a leader and somebody who's not here to make friends, somebody who's not necessarily here for the camaraderie and everything, but is just here to get the wins and isn't afraid to call people out, because I do think this team does have a bit, I wouldn't call them soft. People have called them soft over the year. I don't know if soft is the right word, but they definitely lack an edge to them. And I think Jimmy is definitely the start of bringing an edge. His age is definitely a factor. Jimmy's on the wrong side of 30s, 34, probably going to be, I imagine, yes, he'll be 35 at the start of next season. His age is definitely not great. His contract isn't great either. He's got 2 years, $100 million left. That's a big pill to swallow, but who knows if Miami gets eliminated in the first round. I'm not sure what Miami's necessarily going to look at in terms of where they're putting their future. So Jimmy Butler could definitely be a name that you see circling trade rumors this offseason. Now we get into the top 4, which I think is where things really start to get elevated here. At number 4, this is probably the least big name I have on the big fish list, but I do think this one might actually improve the Kings for the longest stretch of time. I'm going Lauri Markkanen here. He's young. He's a scorer. He's not somebody that you would have to, like Paul George, let's see here, even Jimmy Butler, LeBron, some of the guys I have higher on this list there are a lot of HB replacements, like direct HB replacements. They play the same position. They're around the same size.
Right.
Lauri Markkanen is a 4 who can slide over to the 5 in some lineups, but playing next to Sabonis, he's going to be a 4, and Keegan's going to be a 3. There's not going to be a lot of, I guess probably not as much switchability, but everyone's going to have very defined roles. Lauri Markkanen is a dynamite shooter. He's a big dude. He's 7 feet tall. And the fit just makes sense. The contract isn't great. He's only on a 1-year deal, but that 1 year is only for $18 million. So at least this year, you're getting a really good bargain. You wouldn't have to trade a ton in terms of matching salary for him. So you could do just an HB and some lower assets with picks for Lauri Markkanen. You wouldn't have to do HB and Herter to get up to that 30 mil and then start to sprinkle in the picks. So that's definitely a big advantage. But you would also have to lock him up long-term if you're going to move on from those players for him. So that's the downside of Lauri, but I do think Markkanen has a lot of positives to him. Number 3 is where we get pretty recent. I got Kevin Durant.
Wow.
Now, this one is more just if you can get that guy in the building, you figure the rest out later.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Kings aren't going to trade De'Aaron. They're not going to trade Sabonis. I think they'd probably put their foot down and wouldn't trade Keegan. I don't know if you can get the deal done without Keegan, but this is a 36-year-old Kevin Durant here that, again, we just listed out all the reasons why Phoenix is kind of trapped pretty much.
Give them a pick. They need picks.
They need picks. They need picks like we need air.
Yeah.
So maybe you can convince them. I doubt it. Kevin Durant's obviously a top, even if you're a hater, top 15 player of all time. It's not going to be easy to get him in the building, but if you can figure out a way to get KD in here without leveraging Keegan Murray, and even if you have to bite the bullet and maybe give up less on the back end, maybe not as many picks to get KD in here for a year or two, I still think KD's got it. And I think, as we've talked about, like, I don't know if he's a 1. I don't know if he's a 2. I don't know what he wants to be in terms of the pecking order on a team, but him playing next to De'Aaron makes sense. KD, if I'm not mistaken, played the most minutes this year that he's played. I can't even remember how long. It's been a really long time since KD has put this level of workload on his shoulders. Wouldn't have to do that here in Sacramento. I just think KD could come here, score. He obviously wouldn't. Again, Sacramento would not be his pick of locations, but if you can force a trade and get KD over here, I think that's a huge positive. Again, just like Jimmy Butler, he has 2 years, $100 million left on his contract. That's definitely a big if, but I think nobody's going to blame you for getting Kevin Durant over to Sacramento. And if it works, obviously fantastic. If it doesn't, I don't really think you can blame them for swinging and missing on KD. Plus, the Warriors quite literally replaced Harrison Barnes with Kevin Durant. We saw what it did for them. It's obviously not going to do the same for the Kings, but the thought process is the same. You need a major, major step at that position. Just do what they did, and I'm sure you'll get somewhat similar results. Now we're in the top 2, and at number 2, we have a guy that we already did the work on. We talked about this last week. Brandon Ingram. Too many cooks in the kitchen in New Orleans. Things are getting spicy with the jambalaya, and they can't keep them all. They got Herb Jones, they got Trey Murphy, they got Zion. They have way too many forwards. They're not going to be able to keep Brandon Ingram moving forward. He's a guy who fits the timeline. He's a scorer. He fits at the 4 a lot better. I think, again, you might still have a little bit of redundancy with him and Keegan, but I do think Brandon Ingram is a person that you would know what he's going to do here. He only has 1 year left on his contract, but I think him being a younger guy, extending him to his next contract, I think would be a great move. And again, as a scorer that I'm just not sure the Kings can get otherwise. Number 1 on my list, the guy who I think fits just about everything that you need is Mikal Bridges of the Brooklyn Nets. Mikal Bridges, the number 1 thing besides the ability to score, he's a great shooter. He's a good defender. He's somebody who's played in the NBA Finals with the Phoenix Suns a couple of years back. But the best part about Mikal Bridges, this upcoming season, he makes $23 million. The following season, $24 million. He's a free agent after that, but you have 2 years of team control at, what is that? $6 million more than you're paying Harrison Barnes. That is a major, major upgrade for not that much more money. If you're looking to make the biggest step forward, and the problem with Mikhail is he's going to have a lot of other suitors, especially the Knicks, who are trying to just make Villanova North, I guess. That for me is the number one guy that the Kings should be targeting. He fits the need. He fits the age timeline, and his contract is so good. You want something like that on your books, the same way Sabonis was on a great deal when the Kings got him over here. I think Mikal Bridges is a guy that I would pretty much give up anything besides De'Aaron and Sabonis. I would be willing, but I don't think that's where the Kings are going to go.
When we return, who are you willing to give up for any of these big fish? Also, Monty McNair in an article in The Ringer talking about how flexible the Kings are. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Subscribe to Sactown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sactown Sports.
Capital Casino has been serving the greater Sacramento area in the same convenient downtown location for over 20 years, with plenty of close-by, well-lit parking monitored by security staff and offering the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Best food, best service, and the best action. That's Capital Casino. For more information on tournaments and gaming, check out their website at capital-casino.com. And please remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Were you recently in a car accident? Don't let the insurance companies push you around. Turn to the experts at Gonzalez Law. Our team specializes in car accident cases, wrongful termination, and criminal defense, fighting tirelessly to get you the compensation and justice you deserve. With years of experience and a track record of success, we don't settle for less, and neither should you. Visit SacLegalDefense.com or call 916-304-9187 for a free consultation. Gonzalez Law, your advocate in the fight for justice.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Thinking of remodeling your home? Say goodbye to endless internet searches and visit Subcontractors United. Find a list of 3 pre-qualified and licensed contractors in each home service category. From cabinets to landscapers and everything in between, Subcontractors United makes finding qualified contractors free and easy, with no accounts to set up. Visit subcontractorsunited.com and experience the joy of stress-free home improvement. Save time and money at subcontractorsunited.com.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season. Pick your favorite weekly promotion, giveaway game, or theme night, and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. Stick around postgame every Friday and Saturday night as we light up the sky with the brightest fireworks in town. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
Seems like all this artificial intelligence stuff stirs up the age-old debate of man versus machine. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and let me ask you, would you let a robot cut your hair? Would you rely on an app to teach a kid to ride a two-wheeler? Let's face it, some things require the human touch. People come to us seeking a solution to foot, leg, and back pain after trying all kinds of things recommended by in-store machines or website blurbs. An impersonal, generic approach to solving a problem that's unique to you. No wonder they usually don't work. At the Good Feet store, you'll meet with an arch support specialist who will take the time to learn about your needs, your feet, your lifestyle, and then fit you from over 300 models and sizes of arch supports, designed for pain relief, better balance, and more comfort.
Do you have sore feet, an aching back, or plantar fasciitis? Then get to the Good Feet store nearest you for your free arch support fitting. Good Feet arch supports are only available at the Good Feet store.
Country in the Park is back May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo with Brantley Gilbert, Dustin Lynch, Jay Cohen, Walker Hayes, and more. Tickets start at just $46. Country in the Park, May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo. For more information, visit CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 340.
This segment is brought to you by Aztec Solar. Skip the sales pitch. Calculate your solar savings at yourpowersavings.com.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
10 names came up in Chris Watkins' big fish list. Shout out to salmon. Shout out to trout.
Yes.
What else
Indeed.
is out there?
Halibut.
Sturgeon.
Yeah. Ahi tuna.
Bass.
Bass. Big bass guy.
Gotta be bass.
Yeah,
That's right.
bass
the
master.
rockfish. Oh my god, a swordfish.
Cod.
Don't get Simone started.
I know, I do. I really do love fish.
I really need to catch something this weekend.
Yeah, like that's the part of fishing that they don't tell you about. Is like
I
it's
probably
fun.
won't.
Yeah, I mean, but the fun is in the time that you had, right? It's not
Is it-
it's not about the fish you caught. It's
Is
about
it-
the times that were had.
Really?
That was beautiful, Chris.
That's what they say. It's just about throwing the line out there.
Well, you know what we have to do
To the
now?
dock of the bay.
We know what we have to do now.
We have to. What's that?
We have to put some wagers down, right? No money
Okay.
involved, right?
Prop
Please.
talk.
Prop talk, whether or not Allen's wife, does anybody bring home a fish? And we have to
I
set
think your
the
wife
odds.
Because
Wow, you didn't even let him set the line, the cover.
Why would it upset me? Why would it upset me? Why would it
I've been watching the videos. I got all the
It wouldn't
gear.
upset
She
me.
just threw it out there.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later,
It would not have upset me.
Okay, I need to know a little bit of background,
Yeah.
a little bit about your verts and whatnot. Have you made any? Sorry, it
Go
was a
on.
particular word for you. Never mind.
Go on.
Have you caught fish before? Have
No,
you
this is
ever
my
gone?
first time ever.
First time.
Fantastic.
I've thrown. I've
Cast?
tried before, yes, but it was kind of half-hearted,
Mhm.
not really trying, and there's something down there, but it wasn't a fish.
like the outfit's like 80% of it. You got to like show up like in the right, just you got to look. the
I gotta
part,
go
right?
all in.
Yeah.
I got to go all into this.
Yeah.
People are asking for you to catch California halibut or striped bass.
I'll catch whatever.
It
I
don't
just want
matter.
to catch something.
Yeah. I can see Alan diving in the water. Absolutely.
Don't do
If
that.
if it really isn't going well, just be like, you know
we
what?
we gotta take you guys out. We do the deep water fishing off
Mm-hmm.
of
How deep?
I mean
was like,
it's the
I lost me.
Pacific Ocean. So
Oh,
we're
yeah,
out by the Fairlongs. And
Yeah.
you
I
pick up
mean,
all the crab
I
and
can
then you do
swim,
rockfish. Yeah, you're
I
not.
can watch you guys.
It's really bad.
It's a nice dog.
So you don't want to do ocean like big.
No, I
fishing
definitely
like that.
want to, but I'm
I
just
don't.
gonna start
Local.
small.
Okay,
you know,
yeah, live and local.
live and local.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll go live.
You should.
Yeah,
You should.
I'll go live.
Absolutely. You should go
While
live,
fishing. All right. As far as the big fish are concerned, that Chris has been talking about, the big fish that Chris had been talking about, not a McFish from McDonald's or anything like that. Chris, I do have some not issues, but
Yeah. Oh, okay.
it comes down to who would I move in a deal? Who would I move Keegan Murray for?
Yeah.
Because that's the
Right.
awkward question that
Mhm.
nobody wants to talk about, but we keep it real on this show.
Yep.
Am I moving Keegan Murray for Zach LaVine?
I hope not.
No.
I really hope not.
Am I moving Keegan Murray for LeBron?
As crazy
It's
as it is to
tough.
say, I just don't think you can.
Because
I just don't think
if-
you can.
yeah, I'm not moving Keegan for 1 year. I might
Right.
think about it for 2.
Right. No, and because that's the thing is like, yeah, how much yeah, I don't want to have that talk because it's a really that's kind of the line, right? Is like how bad do you want to win? Like how bad do you want to risk winning?
Because if you move Keegan, that probably means you're holding on to HB or Herter. One of the two.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
You're not going to move. One of them is probably going to be in the deal with Keegan, and then the other one will be Keegan's position.
You would think.
That's how I see it.
Because it would be too much. You can't give 3 players and picks away for one guy. Like, that's crazy.
Am I moving Keegan Murray for Karl Anthony Towns? No.
No, I wouldn't either.
You took a
I
little
wouldn't
bit
either.
there.
No, I wouldn't either.
Am
I'm
I
not a big
moving?
enough Cat fan. I think if you found the right Cat fan, though.
And I'm actually a Cat fan.
Interesting.
But not that much of a Cat fan.
Okay.
Well, C-A-T.
Yeah.
Not K-A-T. Donovan Mitchell. Am I moving Keegan Murray for Donovan Mitchell?
Personally, my answer is no, but I think there's a conversation to be had. It depends how much I don't think it's the right piece. I think that they would be better off, especially if you're trading Keegan. I would think you should get a forward back.
Mm-hmm.
But you could maybe argue that the talent there is justifiable if you're not giving up much more. I don't know how you could give up much more with his salary, but that's one where, again, I personally wouldn't do it, but if I definitely don't make the decision. If Woj were to tweet it out, I could maybe talk myself into, well, this is a talented enough guy to at least put you in a conversation.
I think the issue,
I wouldn't be comfortable.
The issue for me is less about on the court. The issue for me is New York hanging over your head forever.
Absolutely.
And you lose Keegan and then he scurries off to New York.
Very much.
That's the
scary
issue.
That's the worst possible outcome. And that's why they didn't trade for Siakam, right? Is because they were afraid of that exactly. They didn't want to trade Keegan and then be left with the star where they have to pay because they have no leverage. They know that they have to throw him the maximum amount of money to keep him to stay because they have no other option. And if he walks, then you're screwed. You're completely screwed. You gave up Keegan for nothing.
If Donovan Mitchell was, oh man, I'm all in. I love Sacramento.
Love Fox.
I love Fox. Yeah. Let's do this dang thing. Then okay, that's a different conversation.
Sure.
He's been in small markets his whole career.
Very true.
There's always been smoke as to him wanting to go to New York, to a lesser degree LA. So I wouldn't want to deal with that.
Good point.
Would I move Keegan Murray for Paul George? He's 33.
I don't think so. I'm afraid of the injuries.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We just added Paul George to the roster and we still didn't think
that that's true.
They were going to be top 5 in championship odds. So if you lose Keegan, whoever you're going to get back, even if you start Norman Powell, and he's old, I can't do it.
No.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, you know how I feel, and I love the person, I love the memes, I love all that, but there is no way in on this green earth am I moving Keegan Murray for Jimmy Butler. No,
not even a conversation.
Not at all.
And that's a tough one too, because Miami is the type to try and strong arm you, right? They're the type to say, no. Well, you're not getting Jimmy Butler then. Like, we're not doing the trade. And I think ultimately, if that were to be the case, I think Monty would have to stay strong, because a lot of these guys, like, it becomes, and not to step on our conversation, but I think it becomes a different conversation when we talk about the top two, like Mikal and Brandon Ingram. Both of those guys are young enough to where, okay, maybe you can view it as moving the timeline along with Keegan, where guys like Paul George and Jimmy Butler, it's just a little bit too far down the line. Right?
I mean, 32, I think, is the limit. You're talking about 33, 34 years old.
Right.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And Keegan, he has shown flashes this season.
Because it's the next, you have to think the next the real question is the next, we'll turn it back to LeBron. Like we said, is the next 2 years of LeBron worth the next, I believe you have team control, Keegan, the next, if you sign him to an extension, the next 6 seasons. So we'll say give or take 6 or 7 seasons. Is 2 seasons of these guys worth 6 or 7 seasons of where Keegan could be?
No.
I would say no.
No. And Laurie, out of the last 4, we're up against it. Out of the last 4 that you have, the only ones I would think about it would be Mikal Bridges because of his contract. Probably Brandon Ingram. I think I would think about it. Lori Marketing, I would think about it, but Kevin Durant, I'd probably also say no.
Yeah, too old. He's too old.
30, what are you, 36 years old?
Can't
35?
do it. Not going to be able to do it. Sorry. I know they would probably ask for it. Crazy Matt Ishbia.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
You're going to take these picks and you're going to like it.
Yeah. Can we also not put Keegan on the Pelicans? I don't like that.
Why?
Could you imagine? Because Keegan adds to their list of like just another.
McCollum just, hey, they did me dirty too.
Yeah, right.
When we headed up to Sacramento, they could have drafted Keegan's like, I know,
CJ.
Thank you,
know.
CJ. We know.
I don't care.
We do not care. All right, 916-339-1140. What are your thoughts on Chris's big fish list and any tips that you may have? We'll do it later in the week.
Sure.
Tips for Allen fishing. That'll be a little later in the week, but I see them coming through on the text line already. So thank you for that. But any thoughts on Chris's big fish list? Anybody that you would move? Really the best young piece that the Kings have in Keegan Murray. Anything excites you there? And Monty McNair in The Ringer talks about his flexibility. Just how flexible are they? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.